People in life are looking at how do I make a life worth living and a retirement worth having. And we're looking at that. We're trying to figure out what do we do to make our life better with the person we're with, or how do we play out it with the person that we're with in order to get a better life. You see, sometimes when we're impassioned, and sometimes when we're turned on, and sometimes when we're thinking, hey, this person is cool, we learn a little bit later that maybe they're not exactly what God had planned for us by any rule. And when I'm making my audio casts, I have to deal with all the sounds of the surrounding community, the running of cars through water puddles because it may be raining, and the marvelous ways that kids and parents and everybody likes to play at you when you're sitting down finally to do something for you. But what I think is that people really need to start to learn how to be more regardful of the time of COVID. I literally had a young man who is sort of producing a ministry for his school, I believe a basketball and baseball team, come to me. And when he came to me, he literally wanted to approach me to give me a Burger King or some sort of marvelous fast food sandwich. But yet I'm sitting here eating in front of him. And I thought, why would you approach a man who's got food in your hands and offer him a sandwich? I also thought it's a little odd that a young person would want to try to feed me a sandwich, but maybe he was thinking about the fact that I'd give him a couple dollars just for his project for his school sports team, but I didn't buy anything that he was selling because most of it I was allergic to. But today he had some marvelous things that I love, which I am a little allergic to, but they were cold, and those are the best ever. But anyway, it's not about what he had to sell, it's about that we've been creating an accord with each other. And this marvelous young black man is selling things to support his sports team, probably a trip, probably something they need. So my attitude is always that I will try to help younger people, if I can, to grow up and be better people. But in life we have moments of time to decide whether we're going to keep with the person we're with or leave them and move on to something else that the Lord has planned. What I've always found marvelous is that when God plans something for someone's life, there's always some American person who literally monkeys with that in every way. They literally hear from the person a private comment or a conversation commences or begins, and then that person decides to give them their human advice after God has moved their soul. But what do you think God's thinking? Do you think God is going, oh, thank you so much for that additional help of your wonderful advice that has totally changed the attitude, changed the direction of the young human life that I just spoke to quietly in the whisper mode in order for me to have someone else have an improved life and have them find the love of their life? But what you did was decide that you were going to invade their rights to share with you a story which you should have just listened to and echoed back to them and say, gosh, looks like you got to pray on that, or maybe you need to meditate on that. But in truth, what should have probably happened is you should have just listened and congratulated them on listening to God and being moved in your soul to do something different. But too many people want to hold their own countenances, and too many people want to play therapist and counselor to people that they really shouldn't do that with, because God moves people to do the right thing. And when people don't do the right thing, they remember their whole life that in that moment of time they didn't do the right thing on that. And what happens is a compounding interest of what can happen to them in their life because at a moment or two in time they didn't listen to God saying, don't go, don't do that, or go, please go and do that before you monkey your whole life or ruin your face or do something with disgrace. And in Japanese culture, face is about your reputation. But openly we all have a reputation with the Lord. And are we loving and kind when we see people in struggle? Are we loving and kind when we see homeless people? I know that there are a lot of panhandlers out there that feel like people don't care, and maybe they don't care. But the truth is everybody in the world is doing their life. And once you start to develop a relationship, once you start to care on people, there's always a risk that they'll try to turn around and ruin your life. We can't do that today. It's not godly, it's not humanly possible, it's not true. It's you have to remember, what does it feel like for God to be looking down from heaven at you? And once you get up to the pearly gates where Archangel Gabriel sits, what do you think Gabe's going to say to you? Hey, well done, my child. God's been dying to see you. Or do you think he's going to say, well, as much as Jesus Christ wants to meet you today, you've got to go a little bit down to hell for some transition training because you kind of monkeyed something God had planned for your life